All right, good evening here. Good afternoon out west. I'm Brian Sullivan, everybody. We've got a huge show for you tonight, including a big debate over the future of X, formerly known as Twitter. But first up, a major development and a story that we have been following closely here on Last Call. It involves the future of the realtor payment model and maybe the future of real estate itself. A huge class action lawsuit verdict just came down in Missouri. CNBC's Robert Frank is here with it and what it means.
Well, Brian, you guys have been on this. Last Call has been on this story from the very beginning. And the brokers I've talked to tonight calling it, quote, an earthquake in the real estate industry. That's because a jury in Kansas City found that the National Association of Realtors and several real estate companies conspired to drive up broker commission. The homeowners who filed suit were awarded $1.8 billion with a B in damages. That award could be tripled to over $5 billion under antitrust law. At issue here was the requirement that the seller's agent pay the buyer brokers. The plaintiffs argued that that practice artificially raises the price of selling and buying a home. The NAR is saying the fee split, quote, is not a requirement. They say they're going to appeal. Meanwhile, shares of Redfin, Compass, and other companies down today on a new lawsuit filed right after this ruling against 7 other brokerage firms for the very same practice. Americans spent $85 billion on broker fees in 2020. Brian, in other developed countries, brokerage fees are 2% or less. In the U.S., we all know it's that magic 6%. We'll see whether that 6% number changes after this ruling and after these other lawsuits make their way through the courts.
Big deal, and have a feeling we may see you on it more tomorrow. Robert Frank, thank you very much. All right, so what does the ruling mean for the industry at large and maybe what you pay for a home? Where do we go from here? Joining us now on set is Bess Freedman. She is the CEO of Brown Harris Stevens and a member of the National Association of Realtors. And Michael Ketchmark, the lead attorney of that lawsuit representing 500,000 homeowners in Missouri. Bess and Michael, thank you for joining us here. First to you, Michael, what is big settlement here, 1.8, or verdict, I should say, $1.8 billion. First up, where does that money go? Is money going to be kicked back to people who bought homes, or where?
Sure. I mean, we view it as a day of accountability. And I told the jury, this case is simple. It comes down to premises I learned when I was in kindergarten. If you take something that doesn't belong to you, you give it back. The money will be returned to the homeowners that were the victims of this rigged system. It's been going on in our country for about 100 years, and it stops today. And we're going to hold these corporate real estate companies and National Association of Realtors accountable for their conduct.
And I understand you are ready or have already filed more lawsuits?
Yeah, the day the minute that verdict came in, we filed the lawsuit against the National Association of Realtors and these other large corporate real estate companies to bring the same relief nationwide. And we expect the damages in those cases to be in excess of $100 billion. And look, we are wasting right now about $50 billion a year in wealth that's being taken out of the pockets of homeowners and transferred over to these corporate machines that have taken over real estate. And it's got to stop. The National Association of Realtors takes in almost $250 million in fees from local real estate agents because they have a stranglehold on the market. And
that's okay, Michael, but Bess, that's the NA. He's talking about the NAR, National Association of Realtors, which you are a member.
Yep.
But are you a corporate machine?
No, we are not. And I can't comment on the lawsuit because it was in Missouri, so I'm not going to talk about that. But what I can say is that the majority of all real estate transactions are done with 2 agents, a buyer's agent and a seller's agent. And what is being said, I think, is completely untrue. It takes away from the fact that the buyer's agent adds incredible value to the transaction. And so I think the narrative out there, the Wall Street Journal had an article where they referred to NAR as a cartel. It's ridiculous. And I think there's hardworking agents who are out there representing buyers every day, and this totally takes away from that. And I think it's unfortunate. It's the wrong narrative. Because we work together. It's cooperation. You get the best price when everybody works together.
And I'm sure, Bess, that there's people that obviously you're selling a home, you'd like to pay as little as you could. I mean, everybody wants to pay as little as they can for everything across whatever the asset class is.
That's
for
right.
most people, including myself, I will never buy anything more expensive than my home. This is the most important and complex financial transaction that most of us will
100%.
ever go through.
That's right. And that's why, you have someone, if you're selling your home, you hire someone to represent you. They're your fiduciary. And also buyers want somebody to represent them, to talk to them about the pros and the cons, the neighborhood, their financing, everything.
Yeah.
So you want to have two people, just like you would in a divorce, you want to have two people on the side of the transaction. It's the
Well,
same.
hopefully this is more of a marriage than a divorce, Bess.
But it can be a divorce,
So, Michael, is your beef with the NAR? Is it with the compensation structure? Do you think that, and we've talked before, that there shouldn't be a buyer's agent, or if they do, the buyer's agent should not be paid by the seller, because that may be the conflict, and maybe if you're a buyer, you actually pay your buyer's agent?
We got nothing against buyer's agents. I think they're awesome. But the person they should pay for is the person they're working for. What this member of the National Association of Realtors, she just gave away the case. She said you have competitors who are working together. They're colluding together to fix the prices.
I never said colluding.
At 6%. I mean, that's what's happening. That's what the jury heard 2 weeks of evidence of. We revealed the documents. We revealed the videotapes. We revealed all of the emails. And the CEO of the NAR testified at trial and took the stand, and we exposed him for what he is. It is a cartel. It's a cartel.
It is not a cartel. I take offense at that. It is not a cartel.
I'm sure you do, and I take offense at the fact that the NAR
listen, in Brooklyn for a long time there was no co-broking, and you know what that does? A disservice to the consumer. What you're saying is really offensive, and I take. It is not a cartel. I'm just telling you, it is not a cartel.
Can you answer this question for me?
Yes.
Why are the commissions in the United States 2 to 3 times higher than the rest of the industrial?
Listen, all commissions are negotiable. You can negotiate them at any time. There's nothing written in stone.
The jury heard videotape evidence that they negotiate from 6%, but they only go up. The jury heard evidence of, they saw cartoons that were put out there where your CEO sat there and watched, where homeowners face.
CEO.
Wait, Michael, he's not. The NAR is a trade group that they pay fees into.
You
do not work for the NAR.
I thought she was a spokesman.
But Brian, what I have to say, hold on a second. I'm stopping you for a second.
Okay, hold on. Let me clear this up, because to be fair, Michael thought he must not have heard your intro.
Yes.
He thought you actually worked or were a spokesman for the NAR. Michael, this is Bess.
Then I apologize. I apologize.
Thank you. By the way, thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you for that. Offending a lot of real estate professionals.
Bess is the CEO of one of the largest real estate firms in the New York area.
And Connecticut, New Jersey, Miami, and Palm Beach. But I just want to say.
But you do pay fees to the NAR.
Of course
you are a member of the NAR.
But I just want to say this, that everyone wants to put the client's interests first. We all work together and focus on trying to do what is the right thing. And I think that this sort of implies that agents aren't doing that. And I think this narrative is very damaging. That, and also I think, again, that the television, these TVs like $1 Million Listing or whatever they are, they portray agents as unprofessional, when I can tell you these are hardworking people that are feeding their families. So I take big offense at all of this.
But I couldn't agree with you more. And I love real estate agents. And throughout the trial, we had real estate agents, buyer's agents, and seller's agents sitting on our side of the courtroom. I've been flooded with hundreds of phone calls from across the country from real estate agents who are thanking us. The real estate agents do not like what the NAR has done. They do not like the fact that within 24 hours of listing a home or passing out a flyer at a church or a ball game, they have to put it into the MLS. And Beth, I think that if you and I could sit down and have a conversation, you would realize I am not against your organization or your real estate agents. I'm trying to free you of the grip that the NAR has over you. And I truly believe that companies like you will thrive in the free market and the fair market. And what's happened is the NAR is forcing your realtors to give them $150 each to use this arcane system that's designed to stop.
It doesn't seem like a lot of money. $150 a year?
$150 a year times 1.5 million members is $240 million a year.
Well, but Michael, so that goes to the NAR. That goes to that, but $150 per year per person. I understand for some it may make a difference. Is there a benefit to being on that MLS that would be more than worth that $150 million? I don't know if that was at the crux of the case. Obviously, I was not in the courtroom.
Yeah, the crux of the case is that what the NAR has done, they were terrified when the internet came along, and then they used to have their books that they would keep the information hidden. They actually was called their sacred data during the trial. And the only way you can get on the MLS is if you pay this money to the NAR and you become a member of that organization. What we want to do is we want to free it so Beth and her agents can work in the free market, so they can work for buyers in the free market. I love real estate agents. I mean, I've used a buyer's agent for my own house. I would do it again. But what I'm not not going to do as a homeowner is force people to pay money and fix prices. I assume, Beth, that you would never.
Can I just say one thing is that the buyer is going to pay for it, whether it's in the price or whether they pay their agent. So in a listing agreement, the commission is worked into it so that the listing agent and the buyer's agent get paid. So you can just say, okay, we're going to pay the listing agent XYZ, but then the buyer's agent is going to have to get paid from the buyer. So the buyer's going to pay for it either way. So it's however you want to slice it.
Welcome to America. What's wrong with having your own person pay?
I love transparency. Look, Redmond is changing the rules as of January 1 to make it more transparent so that when sellers sell their homes, they are going to pay the buyer's agent directly. I love transparency. We want consumer confidence. I'm very supportive of that.
Sellers have to pay the buyer's agent? Look, I'm a huge fan of football. I'm a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm from the home of the Kansas City Chiefs. When an opposing team comes in town, we do not pay their coach. Name one other industry in this country, Beth,
I just disagree with you. Everybody's working in the best interest of trying to do the right thing.
It's a good, guys. It's a good. Let's hold on. We have a very short amount of time left, but I do want to kind of get to the crux. Is there a scenario, Bess? And I know there's a lot of realtors out there that are nervous right now.
Yes.
Because this is how they pay their own mortgage.
That's right.
But is there a scenario? And I'm going to ask you to be a little optimistic here. Is there a chance where the best realtors under this plan could make more money? Because as opposed to splitting 5 or 6%, they themselves could simply charge 4 to 5% and then don't have to worry about the other side.
I don't know. I mean, we would have to see. It should never be about the commission. It should be, how can I serve my client's interests the best? And participation from the brokerage community is the best way to do that, Brian. When you have a listing, you want every agent, every buyer's agent to know about it and bring their qualified buyers. And you want to share it with them. Why? It's in the best interest of your seller, always. And that's what he misses, what he's talking about.
No, I don't miss that
He's totally
at all.
dismissing that. And that's what we always think about every day. What is in the best interest of the client?
Michael, and I'll let final word, but you worry there could be a scenario where, let's say that, and by the way, nothing, I want to be clear to our audience, Michael, and if I say something incorrectly, please do correct me. Like I said, I have a law degree, but I'm not an attorney. Under this verdict, nothing about the commission structure is changing. However, the Department of Justice is poking around, and by winning this case, could make it perhaps more likely that the federal government itself steps in and mandates the change. So as I understand it right now, nothing officially changes. There is the settlement. It'll go back to some homeowners. But as it is right now, unless the DOJ does something from D.C., the commission structure stands. Yes or no?
No. Because as part of this lawsuit, we have a request for injunctive relief.
And request.
Request. It hasn't been granted, though.
But the second thing is that the lawyer from the Department of Justice was there watching our opening statement. The minute the verdict came in today, I was on the phone with the Department of Justice and their antitrust division. The reason they're involved in this, what's happening in our country is wrong. And they're going to bring it to a stop, and we're going to bring it to a stop. And if we don't, we will continue to go in a mass billion-dollar verdicts, and eventually the jury system will work, and this will stop. And it will be in the best interest of homeowners, it will be the best interest of agents, and it'll be the best interest of Americans with their single largest asset. It's time that these corporations get their hands out of the homeowners' pockets.
Yeah, well, Michael, we are going to listen, we can do this for an hour. We could do this for an hour. This is a hot topic. It's to your point, Michael, whatever you think of them, there's 1.5 million realtors out there that are very nervous tonight. But Michael, we do appreciate you coming on. You laid it out.
I apologize. I thought you were the NAR. I understand that you're not. I'd be happy to have that conversation with you. Call me offline anytime. I'm interested in your perspective.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night. Stay safe.
I have to say, this is nice to have a Midwesterner on. Like, he's like, I really apologize sincerely. Please call me. I'm so sorry. It's Midwest nice, Michael. So even as a lawyer, we appreciate it. Michael, thank you very much. There you go. And the whole Chiefs thing, move on. Bess, we're going to see you in a few minutes. We actually, speaking of real estate, have a very cool segment coming up. Bess, thank you. All right, meantime,